So that should be live. G'day everyone and welcome to the Battleforge Gaming Podcast, episode 1. I'm Background Mike, this is BFG Justin, and we're going to chat about some Warhammer.
How we doing, guys? It's not just a pair of hands anymore.
Nah, the man behind the hands. So firstly, I thought we'd chat about who we are and where we came from. So
Yep.
I thought it'd be kind of cool to talk about where you were, 10 months ago when you first started your TikTok, how that happened, how that built up and where we are now.
Yep. So I was convinced by one of my friends before you. I was
like, someone else?
Yeah, believe it or not. So my friend Damien kept trying to push me to put my stuff up on TikTok. So reels, photos, all that type of stuff. And I was very hesitant with it, and I put it off, I reckon, for about 12 months. And then started working with you, and you found out that I was hobbying as well. And I mentioned to you that my friend was like, hey, man, you got to get on TikTok. And you were like, yeah, you should be. You should be.
Yeah.
So I was putting photos up on Instagram, and I started making these reels of my models and just went from there. Just started putting them up on TikTok, and it seemed to gain traction pretty quick.
Because you started in January?
Yep, started in January.
Posting on TikTok, not live or anything like that.
January 17th, and it took 3 months to get to 1,000 followers. Once you get to 1,000 followers, you can go live on TikTok. I think you can get early access too. If you get like a real surge of followers, I think they allow some actual early access.
I thought you had that and we waited.
Yeah, we did. We waited, and then it got to 1,000, and you're like, well, now you got to go live. And I was like, do I? And you're like, yeah, you do. And I didn't think anyone really would take too much interest in what I was doing and what I wanted to do. I wanted to help a lot of people in the hobby because it's just a fantastic hobby.
Yeah, which isn't really, I haven't really seen that on TikTok much before you going live.
Yeah.
So it was kind of an unknown, I think, how it would be received, how your channel would grow, and so on. And then, you're pushing live. How'd that go?
Oh, I was a little nervous. It's a bit like this in a way. So we were just sitting at the desk. You were here with me, and you were just like, well, you're going to go live. And I was hovering over the little live button and nervously.
I can so relate now.
Nervously pushed it. Yeah. Look, I think the first couple of podcasts we do, there's naturally going to be nerves, but eventually it's just, we'll get into the groove of things and they'll be much smoother.
Just becomes like, second nature, becomes a lot more comfortable, a lot more smooth.
Yeah. And I think there were hobby content creators before me doing lives on TikTok. It might just be the algorithms not picking them up. So finally, once you start watching some Warhammer, it just starts feeding you more Warhammer.
Yeah, I think your view was kind of cool, how it's like right there on the model. So like the model was so close, it's almost like POV.
Well, that's what I wanted it to. I wanted to be the point of view of the person painting, so they could, in a way, relate and really see what I wanted to do. And the models are the sort of that's why people are there. So the closer, the better, I think, as long as it's in focused, which I sometimes have a few issues with, but
it's hard. It looks hard to do, to be honest, from someone that's looking from the outside.
It's not the most ergonomic position to paint in. So the streams normally go 2 to 3 hours, and then if it went any longer, my back would not like me at all. So it's a pretty good sort of time to paint.
Yeah. So fast forward a little bit, you hit 10K a month ago.
Yeah, would have been August, I think. Would have been August. So 3 months to get to 1,000, and then 6 more months to get to 10,000. So we got 9,000 in 6 months, which is pretty good. And we just hit 11 as well.
Yeah, nice. Congrats, man.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah. So I think we'll end up doing another giveaway where we hit like 15 or 20, I feel. The giveaways are always good. Give back to the community. That helps me. So
yeah, well, the other one went pretty smoothly. I think we had 327 official entrants.
Yep.
Individual entrants or entries, and then the winner was in Victoria of all places.
Yeah.
With all the
for those that don't know, it was Shane Treese, and we've sorted him out. So next time he goes into his hobby store, he should be able to pick up the models that he wanted.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's so good. So yeah, he'll be over the moon hopefully, and it was crazy how it worked out because I know obviously from tuning into the TikTok streams and stuff, you've got people in the UK. The YouTube seems to say that like the UK and the US is massive.
Yep.
For you,
Instagram and TikTok both say that the viewers are mostly in the UK and the United States.
So the fact that it was someone in Victoria, we're based in Melbourne. For those watching that don't know, Melbourne, Australia. So yeah, it's crazy that worked out. That it's just 4 hours away or something like that.
Yeah.
So. And yeah, I guess we've been talking about this podcast for a while now with the regulars on the stream.
Well, we picked up the podcast gear 3 months ago, around then. So it was just before the end of financial year.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time in the making.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we went and picked that up. That took a while to actually get gathered together because these pod mics from Rode are like the last ones of
these ones are actually discontinued now.
Yeah, these are the last ones of this gen in Australia, I think.
Yeah, you got to pay 3 times the price for the same product now.
Yeah.
But they're still a very good product.
But then, and the new product's black, so that looks cool.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. But no, these mics seem to be awesome. I mean, those watching will be able to tell us. And hello to everyone that's tuning in. Thanks for coming. We're super excited to be here, I think. A little bit nervous. But so far so good. So yeah, this
was a slight delay just due to us not knowing what we're doing. So
yeah, we had the camera that I brought in, which was my own camera that I usually use for skate filming, didn't work with Justin's laptop, so that was some issues. But we're making it work with the tried and true phone.
Yeah.
That phone is putting in the work, honestly. Like
MVP.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. That and your wet pallet's probably like the two most important things you got.
But yep. Well, especially with summer coming up.
Yeah.
Wet pallet's going to come in clutch.
Yeah. So yeah, that's your journey so far.
Yep.
I think we're going to wind it back and talk about how we each found Warhammer, how we each got into the hobby.
Yep.
So who wants to go first?
I think people have heard my story enough on streams. I've told it multiple times, but this will be recorded and official. But I think we should start with your story and how you got introduced to Warhammer and then how you got into the hobby. So I'll let you take over for a little bit and let everyone know the story of Background Mike and how he got into Warhammer.
So yeah, to be completely honest, I mean, I'm kind of a returning hobbyist and basically completely new to the hobby as far as all things go.
Yeah.
But I do have a history with the hobby, and that started when I was, I think, about 12 years old. I've been, since we were talking about doing the podcast, I've been just racking my brain about how I actually discovered it. Because it's a long time ago, right? Like, I'm 31 now. It's, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Almost. So yeah, when I was around 12 years old, I remember, I think my friend actually got me into it now that I think about it. He had a few Space Marines at his place. So when I go around to hang out with him, he would have these models and he kind of would just play with them by himself, and I'd be sitting there on the sidelines being like, that looks really cool.
Can I play?
Yeah. So, I mean, unfortunately we're not friends to this day, but he obviously influenced me enough that, when I was down the shops with Mum, it was a Games Workshop, but it was a tiny Games Workshop. You know how I thought it was?
Right. Yeah. Cause we'd spoken about this and you kept on saying it was just like a local gaming store, but
I thought it was like one of those independently owned hobby stores, but it was a Games Workshop, but it was tiny. Like it was one of those stores where you have to go up the stairs of another store to get into this little like kind of like the top of House of War,
Yeah,
but it was
right.
only the top level. So and I remember walking in and seeing these gaming tables set up, and I remember the Space Marines so vividly. They looked like so cool, cooler than anything I'd ever seen as far as like toys went. And at 12, like toys are life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and this is like a time when video games are like not super massive. Like
Yeah.
they're around, but they're not crazy big.
Do you remember the chapter? Ultramarines, was it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're blue. I'm pretty sure they're blue boys. So yeah, the Ultramarines, and I'm just like, oh, I have to get into this. This looks so cool. I was telling you, I used to play with army men, like the green plastic guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to be a soldier one day. Like this is all the cool stuff. Like you watch all the movies and Rambo and all that sort of stuff. Like soldiers are where it's at.
Yep.
And yeah, so
you got some superhuman space marines then, because
no, I just got more soldiers.
Right. Okay.
I got more green guys. Yeah. So I went and got I convinced Mum to let me get a squad of 10 Imperial Guard at the time, Astra Militarum today.
So if my memory serves me right, the sculpts of the actual little green army men are probably better than what the Astra Militarum were.
Yeah, so the detail was not what it is today, obviously.
Yeah.
And
but that's only recent. Like the Cadian shock troops and all the Astra Militarum only recently got updated. So
yeah,
they've been that sculpt that you got a long time ago for ages.
Yeah, which is crazy to me. When I saw the stuff, the Blood Angels that you were bringing into work, I was like, oh man.
I don't remember Space Marines looking like that.
I don't remember Space Marines looking like this. Like, imagine what Imperial Guard looks like now.
Yeah.
And they look cool. They do look cool. Their models do look good. And it was very, very hard to not go straight back to them when I started looking at buying models again.
With adult money.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Dangerous adult money.
Yeah, just adult money, right? Like,
yeah, pretty much.
That's not my situation. But yeah, so I bought the Imperial Guard and proceeded to paint them straight away, making all the mistakes that a beginner makes. So fully assembled, didn't thin my paints, didn't know anything about color theory, mixing paint, didn't know you could mix paints.
Yeah. But we discuss this a lot on stream. Like people come in and they're like, oh, so you paint your models in sub-assemblies. I wasn't told that. But this is the thing, you don't know any better when you first get in the hobby. So when you're young and you're really excited, you naturally just clip them all off the sprue. You don't even clean the mold lines off them, and you just glue them together.
Cleaning the mold lines, so simple, and makes such a big difference to turn your model from molded plastic to like this seamless, clean model.
Yeah.
So
don't worry about that. I made that mistake when I was 28. My guy, so don't feel about being little 12-year-old background
12-year-old background Mike feels much better.
28-year-old BFG Justin did that.
Well, yeah, I'd have to assume everyone entering the hobby for the first time, unless you're extremely outgoing. I mean, there's information out there now. There's BFG Justin live streams. So
there's BFG, yeah. But there's an absolute plethora. Even when I got into the hobby, which was like 12 years ago, there wasn't as much as there is now, or it wasn't that easy to find. So, but continue. You were really excited. You built up your Astra Militarum, Imperial Guard at the time. You only had 10 models.
I only had 10. Smashed them out, mind you. Really happy about that.
Yeah.
The productivity was up there, but the result ended up being like I wish I had phones and stuff back then, because I would have taken a photo. Just like this orange face, like they all looked like they'd been to the tanning booth and got too much tan.
It's got a little bit of Trump about him.
Yeah, 100%. It was just a squad of Trumps, really, which no one wants.
Terrifying, man.
Yeah,
Terrifying.
I mean, on the battlefield, very dangerous, but
yeah.
The green and the khaki, I don't know, at the time, 12 years old, probably wasn't too bad. But I wasn't even using Citadel paints. I was using, from memory, I'd done a little bit of scale model stuff like Tamiya.
Yeah.
And so I think I was using Tamiya.
Did you say Tamiya?
Tamiya? Good brand Tamiya.
As in like Tamiya TS80 flat clear?
Actually, yes, very similar. The same, one and the same. I wish we just have a little plug and just like the can comes out and just sits in the middle of the table.
We might just have to put it on the table next time.
We should, yeah. Yeah, we can't be drinking out of that though.
No. Nah. So did you play your friend at all with his Space Marines?
Yeah, I think I played like one game.
One game with your one squad?
Yeah, that we like. I don't know what it is. It's just a straight up shooting.
You just walk to each other. One army was one side and the other army was the other side, and you walk forwards.
Rolling, yeah.
I would assume that the Space Marines would have won that battle.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, he knew what he was doing because he'd been playing and I hadn't been allowed to play. So,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Is there any way we could have? Do you know where those models are at all, or
they could be at home in New Zealand somewhere, but like, but they'll be with the Pokemon trading cards that my brother will have them somewhere. Maybe
if your brother could find them, I would.
We'll hunt them down.
I'd love to see them
because I had the whatever edition it was rulebook. I had that.
Would have been, I think, probably fifth.
Yeah, but Mum sold that when I sort of got taken away with other hobbies and things like that.
Yeah.
As you do as a kid, you're very flaky with stuff like that. So, yeah, I think that got sold, but I don't think the models wouldn't have been sold because they were painted trumps.
Priceless.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You can't sell those.
The price would have been too exorbitant.
Yeah.
No one could financially recover from that.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a garage sale and everything was on the table and nobody could afford the Imperial Guard.
But yeah, like I think Mum's moved a couple of times since then, so I don't know how they're going to survive. But if they've made it,
I hope we can find them.
I think that should be a new mission, definitely.
Yeah. So that was past background, Mike, and how he got into the hobby.
That's right.
So you didn't have anything to do with Warhammer for about 20 years.
Yeah, that's basically right. And then, so obviously, it's one of those things you have such fond memories of it. I literally remember before I bought those Imperial Guards being on the Games Workshop website.
Yeah,
and just scrolling through the galleries they had of completed armies, and I was just in love with how cool it looks when you've got all these troops like a battle line, and then you've got all these tanks and personnel carriers just over some really awesome terrain. And I was like, this is just so cool. And then fast forward 20 years where I haven't touched any of it, haven't looked at any of it, haven't kept up to date with what Henry Cavill's doing or anything like that.
Oh man, the savior.
Yeah. But yeah, so then I start working with you.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden there's all those same models, not the same models, but that same super pleasing, super cool looking models just sitting right in front of me because you've been painting them. You would bring them into work at the time for one of the boys from work.
Yeah, so Riley would always I'd show Riley photos of my work and he'd be like, "Oh, I want to see that." So I'd bring him in and show him.
Yeah, and so I've just started this new job, and all of a sudden these models that I always used to idolize are just like sitting in front of me, and they're painted just like the photos that I used to see online, but even better.
Yeah.
And I was just like so hyped by that. And obviously we started chatting, you're an okay guy. So we got along a little bit.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, I'm placing an order for, 2 combat patrols of AdMech and can't pay my rent. So no, it's all right. Juddy didn't financially corrupt me. It's fine.
No. I was trying to look after me.
Yeah,
That's why we got the combat patrols.
Yeah.
Start collecting.
Yeah. So now 20 years on, I've picked up AdMech.
Yep.
I didn't go for the army men. Stayed away from them. I figured I'd try something different, and AdMech's models are really, really nice. Got that kind of post-apocalyptic, cyberpunk almost feel to them, and I really like that aesthetic.
They've got a touch of steampunk about them.
Steampunk, sorry, yeah.
I think the cool thing with AdMech is that even though some of the models are a little bit older, they're basically all new sculpts. So the whole range itself is like very, very cool. Like they won't be getting new sculpt for a long time. They'll add to that army, but they're not going to update existing sculpts.
Yeah. Well, from my perspective, the proportions are great, and the detail is already there. So like I couldn't handle any more detail even if I wanted to with the painting side of things. So
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Really happy with them. And I've also, there was a bit of a Necromunda craze that swiped beer, like just
all the boys.
all the boys.
Yep. The guys I hobby with.
Swept everyone up. So also got House Orlock, which was my immediate project right now.
Yeah.
So they're my favorite gang to try and paint.
The biker boys.
The biker boys.
What's your favorite unit with Orlock? For those out there, what's your favorite unit?
Or got to be the Wreckers.
Yeah.
I love the Wreckers.
With the jump packs.
Jump packs. They look cool. Just little, all the little details. Just it's right up my alley. That's like Mad Max style. Love that.
Yeah.
Really love that. So that's going to be really fun when I've got them on the board. Obviously we've played a few practice games where I've used proxies.
We have, yeah.
And I like the gaming system as well. It's quite easy for me to pick up considering I'm so new to the hobby, essentially.
Yeah.
And I mean, it helps having you obviously because you've got a decent understanding. And when you dive into the rules, you really deep dive and you flesh them out. Like that's your personality. You just 100% commit.
Yeah, I want to know everything.
And you're finding all these like, oh, you should try this, man, or see how this works with your next battle and stuff. So it's kind of cool having that as my friend to play with type of thing.
Yeah, not that I'm a competitive player, but I guess when I do get into the gaming side of things, it's like my painting side of things. So I just want to get into like
that's right
every single area of it, and I want to know it back to front, just because I want to play the game.
Yeah, that's
like,
right.
Correctly.
And you're one of those people that you just look at it. Your memory's so good as far as like retaining stats and things like that you seem to. You're like, wait, if this rule allows us to use this perk or what have you, then you're like, I can combine those two to create just a completely scary unit, almost broken unit.
Oh, Hank.
Yeah,
you're talking about Hank?
Headshot Hank. Yeah. So guys like that, and it's just cool to see. It makes it really engaging, I think.
Yeah, all that Warhammer knowledge is now pushed out all the Pokemon knowledge that I had.
Yeah,
because I was storing all this Pokemon knowledge, and now it's just getting replaced.
You can only have
slowly.
so much space in that head, mate.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and it just gets pushed out.
But yeah, so that's essentially where I'm at. Hoping to now that sort of everything's picking up with your live streams and things. I kind of want to be one of those people that's watching your live stream and painting along with you. You know, that 8 o'clock, that 8 o'clock Australian time window.
Yep.
Is sort of going to be my painting time. And firstly, I know you're prepping for some other stuff, but I'm more focused. I want to get my gang going, because then I can drag you back into Necromunda, you back into the Necromunda world, into the wasteland.
I don't think it's going to take too much. Vansar are getting new plastic arachnorigs, so
I've seen that.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, so that's gonna be some edge highlighting for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but I enjoy it. Edge highlighting's my favorite. It's my happy place. So
yeah. So that's my background, Mike. Origin story, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably everyone's probably a bit surprised they won't have seen me or heard much from me. So I'm kind of a
yeah. Your vocals were around a little bit early on in streams when you got the nickname Background Mike, because one of the boys was just like, "Is that Mike in the background?" And then someone was like, "Background Mike," and it sort of just stuck.
Yeah, that's right.
And then there's obviously Emperor Mike as well, because you made an emote.
The emote, background and Emperor Mike, two completely different people.
Yeah.
No, it was good. And like obviously all those people, so many people have stuck around from those early days, which has just created the coolest community, I think.
Yeah, we've had some regulars sort of come and go, but there's been a few mainstays, which down the line I feel like we'll get to the point where we'll have them chatting across Discord on the streams, just so we can get to know the community of BFG, as well as introducing people to the guys I hobby with, like the circles that I float around and paint with and game with. So
that's right. And it's probably worth mentioning that this podcast isn't going to be you and I sitting across from an empty chair. Like,
no.
We want guests on here, and whether that's people from within the Battleforge gaming community or local hobbyists here, or hopefully some big names in the hobby community, ideally, just to see kind of like what we're doing now and figure out what got them into the hobby, what they like about it, if they've got any tips that they can share, and just really keep that that community going and keep everyone active in the community.
Yep.
So yeah, that's probably enough from me. I'd love to hear a bit more about how you got started.
So we'll recap. We'll do the recap that I always tell on TikTok, I think.
So this is the one that the regulars will know.
This is the one the regulars will know, and you may have to tell me to shorten things if I start to go on segues. As you know, I like stories, and then sometimes you
Storyception, we call it, I think.
Yeah, you need another story to understand the current story that I'm telling. But I, like you, was introduced to the hobby through a friend, and I would have been 12 or 13, very similar to age as you, but I'm now currently 40. So
just copying my story?
Yeah, basically just copying your story. So there's a 10-year age gap between me and you. So when I was about 12, I was over at my friend's house, the same friend that said I should start putting stuff up on TikTok. And his older brother and his friend were playing a game, and it was Chaos versus, I think, Space Wolves. And I saw a Chaos Terminator Lord, and I was just like, I don't know what that is, but that's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Were their models painted?
They were painted.
They were painted.
I don't think they were painted amazingly, but at the time, 12-year-old, you
don't care.
There's paint. It was black and gold, and I was like, I remember lightning claws for sure. So yeah, it was very, very cool. But at that time, I was playing a lot of sport with all my friends, so that was the thing to do. I was playing a lot of cricket and basketball. So I never did anything with the hobby. Unlike you, when you actually picked it up and then dropped off from it, I just didn't do anything for about 15 years. So 12, 13-year-olds to a 28-year-old, I'd just moved in with one of the guys I worked with, BFG Seeker, or the Dice Daddy.
People know him as Dice Daddy.
People might know him from the TikTok streams. And we were playing Space Marine, the game. So Space Marine 2 is coming out soon. We were playing Space Marine 1 and having an absolute blast with it. Like, we were playing the PvP mode and we're on headsets and just having a tremendous amount of fun. And I was like, yeah, I remember seeing this as a kid. And he's like, I used to play this as a kid. We should go to Games Workshop. So we went on down to Games Workshop, the local Ringwood, and I wasn't really prepared to commit to anything, but as soon as I walked in and saw all the models on the shelves, I was like, this is really, really cool. And I was drawn to the Tau because I'd played a lot of Armored Core video games. I liked Transformers when I was younger. And I remember vividly seeing the cover of Fire Warrior, the game. I had no idea it was related to 40K, but I remember seeing a Fire Warrior standing on a pile of skulls. So that was the first kit I bought.
With the armor and the helm, they definitely have that sort of Transformer android sort of
look
about them, don't they?
Yeah, so I ended up purchasing one box of Fire Warriors, and the store manager at the time knew that there was a new edition coming and a potential new codex. So he was kind enough to tell me not to buy the actual codex, and I was like, no, I still want it because I'm getting into this. So I picked up a Tau Codex and a box of Fire Warriors, and like you, I got home and I was super excited and fully assembled some Fire Warriors. I started cleaning mold lines, but I didn't do an amazing job, and just did a very rushed corn red recipe on it because I'd seen Farsight. Saw a battle suit with a sword and I was like, oh, I really like these guys.
Did any of your group, like circle of friends at the time, paint? Or
no, none of them.
It was just, you're just doing it solo at the time?
Yeah, just me and Mark.
Yeah.
And Mark had some friends, so there was a sort of little crew that I could hang around and do stuff with. But yeah, so I assembled the model and painted it, and I was super proud of it. It wasn't fantastic. When I saw all the boxes, I knew I wanted to improve as a painter. I didn't have in my mind that I was like, I didn't realize I was going to paint badly because you're just proud of your stuff. So I painted up one model and then just slowly improved over time. I started trying to do edge highlighting. Should have probably brought in the book. We might bring it in next episode. I purchased the How to Paint Citadel ring binder book. It had a DVD in it. And watched
DVD.
Yeah, DVD. Yeah. So I watched that from start to finish, and they just go through a very simple technique of base coating, recess shading, edge highlighting, and I tried to replicate it. people on stream may have seen my Dark Angel. That's my first ever attempt at doing any type of edge highlight. And that was about a year into my hobby. So I was painting.
How did he come about?
How did the Dark Angel come about?
Yeah, were you toying with the idea of...
6th edition had just dropped and the box was Dark Vengeance, contained Dark Angels and Chaos Space Marines, Crimson Slaughter at the time. So I needed to get a rule book anyway because I wanted to play, and the best way to do that was to buy a starter box.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was my intro into Space Marines. And ever since then I've just...
Power armor.
Just always been drawn to power armor. The painting techniques, it's heavy metal. It's my happy place. It's my go-to. So I'm very comfortable with it. I get asked, do you paint grim dark and that sort of style? I have before, like a couple of times, but I always just come back to the heavy metal styling.
Yeah, for sure. And that shows through in your live streams. Obviously, you've got like a pretty, yes, BFG Justin look about your models. Just super clean, heavy metal-esque.
The matte varnish from Tamiya.
Tamiya TS80 matte varnish.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after I painted up my first ever edge highlighted Dark Angel, I then committed to my first army. So I don't think we'll touch on all the armies, or we'll just do some briefs because I could go in some
12 years of solid painting.
Yeah, I could go in some we had a couple of breaks in there. We did have a couple of breaks. I could go into some serious detail, but the first actual army I painted from start to finish was Tau again. So I started with Tau, went to Space Marines, came back to Tau, and I painted a custom green Tau, which I ended up selling. And funnily enough,
this is the General Games one.
This is the General Games one. So I sold it I traded it for a bunch of AdMech to the manager of General Games, and it ended up being in the display cabinet of Malvern for a long time, General Games Malvern. And then
that's got to be a pretty cool feeling being a year into the hobby and being able to trade your painting for for more models. Like,
well, I think my painting advanced because I was painting stuff at the time that was motivating me. Like until I committed to the Tau, I was just painting models that I really liked, which was very good for motivation and advancing like my painting skills. So I think in terms of someone that didn't really get too much help from other sources, I think my painting improved pretty quickly. So early on, even I think like it's hard to say this without trying to sound arrogant, but my painting was still fairly decent early into my hobby.
Yeah, well, you are a sign writer, so I mean that would play into it, and an eye for detail. Like you've had to hand paint stuff for work, so surely that would without saying like,
I don't know if the skills necessarily jump from either the trade and the painting, but I think the eye for detail and sort of trying to be a bit of a perfectionist, because as you know, at our full-time job, we need to have a very good finish on our jobs or they get redone. So
that's right.
I had the same sort of mentality with models as well. After I traded the Tau, and they ended up at the Churnside store, which is real close by, which is funny.
Yeah, the local hobby store.
Yeah, they've done this big circle, and they're just in the display cabinet down there.
That was crazy. I remember walking in with you, not long after it had opened. I think, and we were like, oh, we'll check out the new General Games like nearby Churnside Park.
Yeah.
Walk in, get to the back of the store where there's some display cases, and you're like, that's my Tau.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? They're like, do you remember that Tau I traded? That's them.
They actually eventually made their way to a tournament. Some guy came in to Games Workshop Ringwood one day and he's like, hey, were you at this tournament? And I was like, nah. And he's like, oh, your Tau were there. And I was like, yeah, no, I traded those on. So, my green Tau actually made it to a tournament.
They've had a life, haven't they?
They have. But I like giving back. Like, if I've got some models that are just going to sit in a box and not even in a display cabinet, I don't see any reason why I shouldn't try and move them on to other people that can enjoy them. So,
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then after that, the next big army was the Blood Angels. So that was my first real commit to a Space Marine paint army.
This isn't the current iteration. This is Firstborn?
These are all Firstborn. It was about 2,000 points, and it ended up I played a lot of games with those. I played my friend Ben, and he has Tyranids, and we had some really sort of thematic, brutal battles. Like we would have like 1 or 2 models left on the board at the end of the game, and his were fully painted as well. So
Wow.
we were like completely immersed in the game. It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So I ended up selling those on to someone else because I was just, I think my painting had improved, and I was just like, I don't necessarily want these anymore. And
You're not going to make it to the display case. So.
no, they're not going to make it to the display case. And then we moved on to painting the Daughters of, it was the Knights next. No, Tau, sorry.
Tau again.
It's so hard to remember the armies. Back to Tau again with a project that I wanted to show to the local guys, that it was quite easy to achieve a good painted army with just a base coat, a recess shade, and one highlight. I still own those Tau. Who knows what their future is, but
Yeah.
I currently still own those Tau, and they do make the occasional appearance on stream.
That's right. Yeah. So the regulars will have seen the display case. They're still sitting in there, I believe.
Yeah, the Far Side Enclaves, Corn Red, Tau. So a very, very basic paint scheme. After that, I did move on to painting the Imperial Knights. So I wanted to paint an army.
So that's these guys.
That's
right
the
here.
ones on the table right here. I wanted to paint something up to take to a tournament, and I painted them from start to finish. Took about 6 to 7 months, and this is where my mindset had really changed. It does sound like I was into painting armies a lot of the time because up until this I've painted like 3 armies, but I was still painting a few things in between and starting a few projects. And then the Imperial Knights is really where my mindset had changed to wanting to just hard commit to stuff. So if I was going to buy certain models, I was going to commit to that army and wanting to put them on the tabletop, because everyone knows you sort of can get carried away with buying stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's too easy.
Yep. So I'd got to the stage where I was like, I'm doing this too much. I need to just slow down with my purchases and only buy stuff that I'm going to put in an army. And I did that with the Imperial Knights, but funnily enough, they still have yet to have a game. It's been 5 or 6 years, I think, and they're yet to get on the tabletop, but they do look good in the cabinet.
That's right.
So,
you haven't been tempted to roll them out.
No, not yet. Not yet. We'll see how things go.
They always draw the big reactions and
people
everything,
love the Imperial Knights. They love the Imperial Knights.
That's right.
The army I went with after that was the Daughters of Cain. So that's probably currently the army I'm most proud of, I think. So again, I did a start to finish 7 months, Daughters of Cain. It's a lot of yellow, a lot of scales. And after that, I had a bit of a break, as we've discussed before. So I talk to people on stream a lot of the time that they'll come in and they'll apologize and be like, oh, sorry, I haven't been on stream a fair bit. And it's like, that's all right. You know, life can get in the way sometimes. Not so much get in the way, but hobby tends to be one of the things that's easy to just drop when life gets a bit much. And I've done that a couple of times. So I had a hiatus of a year. I'm not sure when it was, maybe 5 years into the hobby. And then after I painted the Daughters of Cain, my dad passed away in July of 2019.
That's right, just before COVID.
Yeah, just before COVID. And that was something that changed how I just looked at life in general. And I wanted to make some changes in my life. I was still doing a bit of hobby at that stage. And it got towards the end of the year, and then a long-term relationship ended of 10 years. So in the space of 6 months, I'd been hit pretty hard by two fairly heavy life experiences at the same time. And it got to be a bit too much, and I gave up hobby for 9 months.
Yeah,
and then
completely understandable.
Yeah, and then COVID came in, and it was like my job was under pressure there, like to the point where I may not have had a job. But
so many people were.
Yeah, that affected a lot of people. But luckily, we made it through there. So I'm not sure what would have happened if I didn't have a job. like those 3 real big things happening all in a short space of time. So I just started running and I just didn't hobby. Even though COVID would have been a really, really good time to hobby, I didn't do it. I think a lot of I was looking for excuses, I guess, with why life was where it was at. And I felt like hobby was one of those excuses, even though there's obviously a lot more to how things happen than just hobby. But I was putting a lot of blame on hobby. 9 months down the track, though, is when no, it was more than 9 months. So 9 months, after 9 months, I started chipping away at hobby, started painting the current project that is Blood Angels. Wasn't painting heaps, but I was still happy to be back doing hobby. It was really, really good.
Yeah, dipping your toes back in.
Yeah, and then so I had 3 months of sort of treading water with life. I wasn't really happy, wasn't really sad. I was just sort of a little bit melancholy. That's when we met. And I don't know if you'd ever picked up on it, whether something was off, but once I started streaming, I found a new sort of purpose in life.
I think it was hard for me to notice because I didn't really know you prior. So for those that are listening that don't know, Juddy and I, or Justin and I, worked together at a signage company, a graphic design and sign writing, sign installation company. And yeah, I started with you pretty much right in this part of the story now. So right before you sort of begin your social media, real social media journey as BFG.
Yeah.
And obviously we had a good time working together. I was completely clueless, and you're this old head, knows what he's doing. Been in the industry for a while, and
too long, mate. Too long. 20 years.
Schooled me up a bit, but obviously not too hard because we're still friends. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so started doing TikTok streams, and this is why I always tell people that are on stream why it means so much to me, because it honestly does. The fact that me helping them actually helps me as well. So being able to help people improve at their hobby or change their mindset towards wanting to achieve an army helps me, because it gives me purpose and drive. And that's why I do my streams every night, and I like to be consistent with it, because people keep turning up and I can keep helping people in the hobby. And I love it. I honestly love helping people in the hobby.
I still remember it might have been like a weekend of you doing your live streams every single night. And like most sane people would burn out. Most sane people would burn out every single night for a week. A week would probably burn people out, I would think.
Yeah.
But I still remember driving with you to work one morning, and you'd been doing your live streams for like a week, and you honestly were just so pumped. You're just like
different person.
Yeah, almost a different person. Like it was crazy. Like you were a happy dude. What appeared to be happy from the outside seemed happy, but you seemed to be truly happy. Like it was crazy. It was so cool to see.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
So then, I guess that's where we are now. That's the story up until now. So, I guess people that come on live streams know how things go. So, I guess we'll touch on where we're headed, because that's the end of the stories of who we are as hobbyists. But now we'll briefly touch on what we've got planned for Battleforge Gaming, or what we want to do with Battleforge Gaming.
Exactly. So obviously the community is always going to be in the forefront of what we make our decisions on, and where we want to head, because it's growing that positive and productive Warhammer community. We've got the Discord going, which has just been unreal. The sort of support and helpfulness that comes through in that community, as opposed to some other online communities and forums. Like it's honestly so great to see the tips and tricks and the work in progresses that come through.
Yep.
We're definitely going to try to add more perks and rewards for people that contribute positively to the Discord, like ranks and badges and things like that.
I'll leave that to you, mate.
Yeah, that's all right. That's where
definitely not my forte.
That's where I earn my keep, I think. And then YouTube, we're trying to get to 4,000 watch hours in the next sort of 9 months, I think, is what we kind of need to look at. I mean, we're going to grow that naturally, but 4,000 watch hours. For those that don't know, we've got 1,000 subscribers, which is one big tick for the monetization of YouTube.
Yep.
And then the next one we're looking for is 4,000 watch hours, which hopefully these podcasts as well will help with.
Yep. Yep. And that's just to create a passive income just due to watching. Like people can just watch and like, and the popularity will hopefully create some form of passive income that can help grow Battleforged gaming.
Yeah, well, that's the idea.
As opposed to just receiving gifts and stuff, which sits better with me. It actually sits a lot better with me.
Yeah, getting that passive income from sort of advertising revenue and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's really cool because I think the near future goal would be to get you doing this more and more full time.
Yeah.
Because that obviously allows you to create more content, give back to the community with competitions and giveaways and live tutoring and everything that you want to do.
Yeah.
So that passive income from YouTube will play a big part in that. So we're focused quite heavily on the YouTube, obviously. The Dark Angel, I believe, is going to be the next ultimate guide to come out. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, well, you know, because you're putting the overlays on it.
Whoops.
I'm excited for that one because I really, really enjoyed painting that. And Dark Angels right now, super hot. Same with the Black Templar. There's just a couple of chapters that people absolutely love, and Dark Angels is one of them. And I
haven't actually looked over this tutorial. Has it come out much better than your first Dark Angel, or is it very similar?
It's tremendously better than 11 years ago.
Yeah.
It's chalk and cheese, man.
That's good to know. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's obviously monetization of the YouTube is a huge one to get you on your path to doing this more and more.
Mm-hmm.
I think the TikTok, the way you feel about the TikTok is you want to keep growing that.
Look, TikTok's really good when it works. Obviously, people would know that we sort of may have been in a shadow ban for a couple of weeks just due to promoting other platforms like YouTube and Instagram and the Patreon and maybe Discord. I don't know if you get in trouble for doing Discord, but when TikTok's working, it works very, very well for spreading the Battleforged gaming name. So the last couple of streams as of, what's the date today? Is it the 30th or the 1st? Something like that. We should really have checked.
30th
it's the 30th. Right. So
in Australia.
Yeah. It's September 30th. And the last 3 streams, we've got a bunch of new followers. So when we first started doing the streams, when we were around sort of 5,000 followers, we were getting like 100 a night from the lives.
That's right.
100 a night from the lives. And the last couple of streams, we've been getting some high numbers back with the follows. And we'll have to eventually maybe get to the point where I have to drop maybe a night. We'll have to see how things go. But the tutorials is what is going to help the YouTube. So that's something I want to work on personally. Obviously, you do the overlays and the editing and the thumbnails for those. So it is a group effort. It takes a lot of time to produce these tutorials. And it'll be something that I work on after my ARC list. That's my near future is finishing my ARC list so I can finally go to a solo tournament and get the courage to go to a solo tournament. Hopefully you guys can't hear that whippersnipper in the background.
We'll see how good these mics are.
We'll see how good the mics are, yeah. We are getting towards the end of the podcast, so it shouldn't be too much of it.
Just before we go, do you want to briefly touch on what ARC is?
And so I wasn't just going to end the stream.
I was like, I'm just working on ARC. Thanks, guys.
No, I've got a bit more to go. A bit more to go. Cool. Yeah, so ARC is a I wouldn't say it's Australia's largest tournament, but it's a pretty big one. Yeah, it's a pretty big one. I think CanCon was Australia's biggest tournament. ARC's one of Victoria's biggest tournaments. And basically what it is a tournament for the old heads that have been in the hobby for a long time. The lists that you take aren't meant to be overly competitive or meta. They used to have a thing called Arc Forged, where if you took a HQ, 3 troops, a heavy, elite, a fast, you would get extra points towards your tournament score. I'm not sure how they're going to operate that this year because there is battle line and HQs, but then you've just got a whole list of units that are just listed as other. So we'll see what they do in terms of Arc Forged with that. And I think it will be really good for Battleforge Gaming and myself because it'll help get the name out there in the local scene, which we've discussed on TikTok before. There's not a tremendous amount of support from real local people.
That's what I mentioned earlier with the competition. It's crazy seeing the analytics on YouTube and TikTok, how it's more so. I mean, obviously the hobby is more concentrated in the UK and the US.
Yeah.
But yes, Australia makes up such a small representation currently, at least.
Yeah. So hopefully that I'll just be straight out there and without trying to sound too arrogant. The goal is to win Best Painted there. That's what I want. I want to win Best Paint. I want people to walk past and just be like, that is the best Blood Angel army I've seen in my life. And hopefully get some recognition and followers in the local scene and then expand on the list and get it to 2,000 points and travel interstate and try and do the same thing interstate. But once the ARC list is done, I'll be back on tutorials. I really like doing the ultimate guides. So we'll be trying to push out as many ultimate guides as we can.
Well, that's your best video so far as far as engagement and views go.
Yeah. So we're going to do all the main chapters and then some of the like really popular second founding chapters as well. That's the plan for that. In terms of like we get asked if we're going to do battle reports and stuff like that. There are a lot of channels that already do battle reports, and I like how we're focused on painting and changing the mindset in the hobby. So battle reports might be something in the far distant future. We'll see how we go with things. It'd be cool to do extremely well painted battle reports. Like we're talking like the box art level stuff.
Yeah, box art battles.
Yeah, box art battle.
Could be a name. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see how we go with that. But apart from that, it's the podcasts, the tutorials, continuing the TikTok. We want to get the website live with the merch for people. That's
me.
That's in your hands, Mike. That's not something I am capable of doing at all.
It's all right.
So I guess where do we think the website's at for people?
Yeah, so the website's pretty much good to go. I think I was toying with a countdown to be displayed on the front page, and I think that sort of distracted me for a while. But as far as functionality and everything goes, it's pretty much there. So I think we'll push that live pretty soon. I would say within October.
Yep.
I think we'll just go live with that, and all of your loyal fans and followers can tell us how many bugs I've left.
Yeah.
But I think it should be pretty good. It should
and that'll probably have a Shopify link for people or whatever we're going to use for our merch as well.
Yeah, so it's it'll be hosted by Shopify, and then a lot of merch will be done by Printify.
Yeah.
So I think at the moment I've mocked up some mugs, t-shirts, and a hoodie.
Yeah. People want I've heard the people want beanies and caps. So
yeah, why wouldn't you want a beanie? It's going to be the hottest summer in ages.
Yeah. Well,
actually, sorry, Northern Hemisphere. They're going to be going into winter, so it's perfect time, really.
Yeah, internationally.
Yeah. I gotta think bigger, don't I?
Yeah.
But yeah, so the website will go live very soon, which is going to be a big step for us.
Mm-hmm.
And then that sort of leads into potentially the giveaways, the original Death Watch giveaways happening. So,
the original Death Watch giveaway, yeah.
So that'll be exciting. I think that'll be really, really cool when that happens.
Yeah.
But
we might try and work on some ways that we can help the patrons out too. Because we've had some patrons for quite a long time, and it's hard to create tutorials for YouTube as well as Patreon. That's on me. But hopefully we can work something out where we might start giving some patrons some free merch, maybe caps or hats. It's something we'll have to look into. Yeah,
reward that support. It is hard to find that balance between creating content that spreads the brand, and then also making that content that supports those that have supported you.
Yeah.
But that's just something we'll constantly improve on, I think, over time, which is awesome.
Yep.
I think we've pretty much covered everything we hope to.
Yeah. I mean, we can always expand upon this sort of stuff in episode 2 and 3, but
yeah, it always blows my mind that we work together every single day and we still have something to talk about somehow. I guess. I don't know.
That's a sign of true friendship, mate. That is the sign of true friendship.
Just who we are. But yeah, so that's everything. Next time, we're gonna hopefully have a guest on. So you
want a guest in Ep 2?
I think so. I think I want to see someone else in this chair, because this chair's looking empty for the viewers that can actually see this.
Yeah, we can do that.
I know some people will be listening, but
do you know? I think people are gonna probably be a little upset we didn't have Zeta on stream. So that's my housemate's little dog. She didn't make an appearance today because it's grand final day and she's actually going to a grand final barbecue with her parents.
Well, that's important for the dogs to attend that, I think.
Yeah. So,
puppies.
I mean, I'd like Zeta as a guest next time.
Zeta would be cool. I don't know how chatty she'll be.
She won't be chatty. She'll just chill on a lap.
Yeah. But she'll be a good guest.
Yeah. She'll be awesome.
Very polite.
Yeah.
Very polite.
Do you want to sign us off, mate? Have you got a sign off? I know you don't like my TikTok sign offs.
I don't have a sign off, but I'll give it a shot.
No.
So yeah, we'll go. So next time,
fortnightly. You think next one will be fortnight? Maybe.
Not too sure.
Do you want to do weekly? Do you think we can do weekly?
At least we've got the room set up, so I think we'll probably need to hash that out and see. So guest availability and things like that.
Yeah.
So I don't think we'll put a time on it just yet, but we'll definitely. I think when we can see how quickly we can organize people to join us, we'll settle on a time, because whether it's weekly, fortnightly, or monthly.
Yeah.
I think more monthly is probably a bit too long as far as social media goes, but that's okay. We'll figure it out.
See you guys in a fortnight.
Just commits right there. But yeah. As far as Justin and I go, thank you very much for everyone that tuned in, and we'll catch you next time. All right.